All right, here we go. Let's get it.
Open eye, feel the waves cut through me, hypnotized by the sounds I'm breathing in. Hold tight, chemicals collide. Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. Dripping lights paint the skies, all because of you. Dripping lights paint the skies, only you can make me move. You can make me move. Can make me move. You can make me move. Can make me.
I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. Hey, get any?
All right, we are live, getting everything ready to go. And what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. It's been a hot minute since we've recorded an episode. Last time I think we went live was for the expansion draft. But if you're new to the show, what's going on? I'm Carter. That's Andrew. We are the 2-on-0 Hockey Show. We're covering anything and everything in the world of hockey. If you're not new to the show and you've seen us before, welcome back. So I guess first things first. I mean, Andrew, it's been about it was 2 weeks, I believe I said, last time we recorded an episode. So it's been quite a bit of time. A lot of news coming out recently, but before that all starts, how have you been, man? How's everything going?
Yeah, no, I'm doing all right. I'm kind of just chilling, enjoying the rest of my summer. I only have about like a month left, so just chilling.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to do the same. I mean, I was, our friend Danny and we went out to the Island of Pro Shop earlier today, and we're coming back. I could think that, well, not all I could think, but we somehow got on the topic of talking about summer, and one of the that I thought was like, oh my god, like the summer's almost over already. Like it feels like yesterday we were just getting into the like the first week of it. I'm planning everything out, trying to plan my summer break, and now it's gone. Like, where did the time go? It's crazy, but
yeah, it's nuts. I really don't know.
Well, I mean, I guess the one thing that you could take out of this is positive is, when summer ends, that means hockey season's only another day closer to starting up. So, speaking of hockey season, even though it's the off season, we do have some news to get to. We're gonna start with two of the bigger contracts that actually wound up breaking news today. And we're obviously gonna start out with the bigger one of the two because obviously we're in a Northeast streaming sports production. So we're going to start out with the Eastern Division team. Adam Pelech signing an 8-year contract. Pelech's deal is worth $5.75 million, and it's going to take him, I believe, until the end of 2028, 2029. So this is a massive, massive extension for a really solid defensive defenseman. Andrew, as a Ranger fan, I know you're not the biggest Pelech guy out there, but what are your immediate thoughts on this deal?
No, I mean, as much as I like to, do say stuff like that, I do have to give credit to him. I mean, he is a great NHL defenseman. He is a defensive defenseman in the NHL. He solidifies what a defensive defenseman should be in the NHL. So, to see him, finally get paid, he got his money's worth. He's there for with the Isles for a long time, 8 years. So, and you said that's going to be until basically almost the end of this decade, I think, pretty much. So, I mean, Isles have a good defenseman, locked up in their system for a while. And, yeah, I mean, I think it was a pretty good signing. One of the first that Lou has made, so far this offseason. You really haven't heard much of the Isles in free agency. So I mean, this is one of his first big things he's signing this season, or this off season, I should say. So I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to agree with that. I think that, I've been looking at a lot of comments on like social media anyway, just because I like to check those kind of things. I mean, I kind of like to see what people have to say about certain trades or certain moves or even just like regular events going on in the world of hockey. And I know that a lot of people were saying that this might be looked at as a little bit of an overpayment, which I couldn't disagree with any stronger than I think I'm going to. I mean, if you're a casual hockey fan, you might not know who a guy like Adam Pelech even is, or you might not know that the role that he plays for the Islanders is such a massive, like if Pelech weren't an Islander and they were still obviously embracing this defensive system under Barry Trotz, I mean, a guy like Adam Pelech is so hard to find on the open market nowadays. It would basically be impossible to replace him. So, I mean, you got to give a lot of credit. I'm having like a brain cramp here as I'm trying to talk. To Lou Lamoriello for getting this deal done. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I think that, well, first of all, I feel like the whole arbitration thing, I know Pelech was the only one out of the 3 RFAs the Islanders had who actually opted to go to arbitration. I know Sorokin and Beauvillier didn't, but with Pelech, I feel like that arbitration date was just kind of like not a deadline per se, but I think they wanted to get a deal done before that, and obviously they wound up getting one done. One other thing that I do want to point out, I do think that there are other deals done. They just haven't been officially processed by the league yet. Like, there have been a lot of sources reporting that, and we've seen this in like our hockey group chats too and stuff like that, that they believe that Cizikas is signed. They believe Palmieri is signed. They believe that they already have worked out either 1 or 2 year deals with Travis Zajac and Zach Parise. I'd imagine it's 1 year deals for the two of them, but that's not what we're talking about right now. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of moves come from the Islanders further down the line, because since none of these moves have been technically processed yet, nobody knows how much cap space the Islanders have to work with right now. You can kind of do your own math if you want to do that. I mean, it's been rumored the Cizikas extension is worth I think 2.5, and it hasn't obviously processed yet, but with Cizikas is 2.5, and then you add in Pelech's 5.75, that comes out to around, I mean, I've never been good at math, so it's probably got to be like between 7.5 and 8, I would think, or something like that. And it looks like the Islanders have about $11 million in cap space currently. They could also put Johnny Boychuk on LTIR, which would bring them up to around 17. So they do have a lot of room to re-sign guys like Anthony Beauvillier, Ilya Sorokin, guys who don't have deals yet, and at the same time explore the open trade market, which I think a lot of people are really expecting them to do. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. So you have any other thoughts on this topic before we move on to the next one?
No, I feel like you pretty much said what had to be said. So
yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens, but I don't have too much to say on it, to be honest. I mean, Lou Lamoriello is very stealthy in the way that he works, so I've just kind of given up on trying to predict what he's going to do. I'm just sitting back and letting it all play out. So I have another extension to get to. This is another 8-year deal, and it actually involves another team in blue and orange. The Edmonton Oilers signing Darnell Nurse to an 8-year contract, and this is worth $9.5 million a year. People were talking about Pelech being an overpayment. I'm going to be completely honest. I think massive overpayment. That's just
I honestly think the same thing. Like, listen, I get it. He's a very solid defenseman, but this was really his only good year of his career so far. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Again, Darnell Nurse is a great, solid defenseman. He's a big defenseman who, he has offensive upside. He got drafted, I believe, in 2013 in the first round. He was the 7th overall pick. And I mean, even like this past season, it was okay. 56 games played, 16 goals, 20 assists for 36 points. His best season came in 2018-19 when he went 82 games for 10 goals, 31 assists for 41 points. But, I mean, when you look at other guys in the league who, aren't getting paid this much, like Cale Makar, who is a Norris, caliber defenseman, and he's not even getting paid this much. It definitely is an overpayment. If you don't say so, then I'm sorry, but you're an idiot. But, I mean, I still think he's a solid defenseman. Don't get me wrong. Again, 8 years in Edmonton. He's still a little young, I believe. He is, how old is he? I'm trying
Only
to,
26.
He's 26. Yeah, he's 26 right now. So he has another 8 years. So that's going to bring him till he's, 32 or 34?
I believe it says it's going to be over in the 2029-2030 season. So he's technically signed through this entire decade. So
Okay, so he'll be around 32, 34, whatever. Again, we're not good at math. But, I mean, yeah, I do think it is overpayment.
Well, when I signed up for the show, I wasn't expecting there to be math. I just thought we could talk about hockey. So if I was talking about math, I'd start a math podcast, which I'm sure nobody would listen to.
I would.
Maybe I'd get a few math teachers in there. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. This is like I don't even see Darnell Nurse as like an elite defenseman. You know what I mean? Like, and I meant to mention this earlier when I was talking about Pelech. I'll bring it up now. Adam defensive game, he got paid because of his defense. There aren't a ton of defensemen that get paid anymore based on their defensive ability, and I'm putting it out there now. Darnell Nurse is not one of those players. He's not the greatest defensively in the world, but I also don't think that he was like spectacular offensively. I mean, I'm gonna pull up his stats here. By the way, if I'm using Cap Friendly right now. If you don't know what Cap Friendly is, great website for any hockey fan that wants to check out their team's salary cap situation. Great to use, even in arguments with your friends. I use it all the time when we're talking about contracts and other stuff like that. So, but anyway, I mean, he had 16 goals and 36 points in 56 games, which isn't too bad. I mean, for a shortened season, that's not, that's pretty good. But is it worth $9.5 million for 8 years? Good. I mean, like before that, his career high in points was. I mean, he had 41 back in 2018-19. So, I mean, he was only 5 away from breaking his career high. Outside of that, though, he really, you were talking about Cale Makar before. He's one of the best, if not the best, offensive defenseman in the world. And, I mean, I just don't see Nurse, being in that same category. Nurse is getting paid the same amount as guys like Seth Jones, Zach Werenski, even, who got extended by the Blue Jackets the other day. I don't see him on that same level, to be paid as much as some of these other high-end defensemen.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely crazy. I mean, still, it's just rough. I mean, again, I really don't know much to say. I'm trying to find some of the highest paid players, defenseman-wise, at least, because I saw some before. I couldn't think of it.
I know I think the highest is Carlson. I think he's making 11.5. And then I know Doughty's up there too. Outside of that, it's just I can't think of anybody else.
Doughty, and then obviously Seth Jones just got paid. Zach Werenski just got paid. And then, we mentioned Cale Makar. So, but I mean, another name, not the look in the future or anything, but another name to look for next year who's going to be an RFA is Adam Fox. So is this going to determine whether how much money he gets? Obviously we have to see how well he plays next year. I mean, I don't think he's going to fall off a cliff. So I mean, I think he's going to be around the same points per game and however many points he had last season. So I would assume he'd be getting around the same, if not more. I mean, so I want to hear what you think that contract would, kind of look like for him.
Well, we're talking about Fox, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, I would think the Rangers would lock him up to an 8-year deal. I think if the Rangers were going to sign him, they'd want to sign him for as long as they possibly could. In terms of salary, I mean, it's tough because, like I think he's on that same level as Makar. If he's not, then he's pretty close to it. Makar's making what, 9?
Makar's
Pretty
making
sure
9,
it's
yes.
9. Okay, yeah, so 9 million. See, I don't know because like I feel like this whole Darnell Nurse thing throws it off like big time because Fox is definitely better than Nurse.
Hmm.
But I mean, talking about him and Makar, I mean, you'd like flip a coin, really. Like I don't see one being better than the other. Hmm. I would say I think 8 years at I'll say either 9 or 9.5. I'll say in
That
that range.
That's what
think
I
that
was thinking. I think that's pretty fair for him. I think anything over 10 is kind of an overpay. I mean, I think that's almost an overpay for anyone unless your name is either Sidney Crosby or Connor McDavid. So, but I mean, yeah, we'll see. But some of the, young defensemen that signed, Zach Werenski, Cale Makar, Miro Heiskanen, and Seth Jones, they all signed big contracts this summer. So, I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting. I mean, the league is going to be set with a lot of young NHL defensemen. It's going to be fun seeing them run this league. So, can't wait for that to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you have even more on the way with Moritz Seider in Detroit. I don't think he'll have the same offensive upside necessarily, but a lot of people are expecting him to make the team next year. You got Luke Hughes in New Jersey, who we're going to talk. Well, not a big name, but like offensive defensemen who are kind of being like hyped up a little bit. That's all I can really think about right now. But yeah, I mean, I would think Fox is getting a massive, massive pay raise next summer. Although I do think it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that because isn't Zibanejad up next season too?
Yes, and the Rangers still have to sign Shesterkin.
Well, that'll be done relatively soon. So I'm more concerned with what will happen with Zibanejad because I sent a post to you about it. I can't remember what it was, but
I think he said he wanted like 9.5 or something like that, and I was like,
easy. And like Zibanejad's a good player, but I mean, I don't know if he's worth 9.5 to 10 million. I mean, that's a
yeah.
So I don't know. Like we said, I mean, kind of have to see what happens with that stuff. I mean, contracts in general are really just like a big guessing game because players can have a career year in the season that they're supposed to be re-signed, and all of a sudden they can demand a lot higher of an amount that you might think. So it's really just a guessing game, and it'll be, entertaining to see what happens with that. We're going to move on here really quickly. We're going to talk about the draft, and obviously, I mean, we're the Northeast Streaming Sports Network, but just for the fun of it, just going to, zone in on our two teams here. Obviously, if you couldn't tell by the jerseys and the playoff towels in the background, I have no idea where to point because everything is reversed. I'm an Islander fan. He's a Ranger fan. So yeah, I mean, we're really just going to talk about the picks that our teams had. And I mean, you could take it away if you want, because my team didn't have a first round pick. So you're more than welcome to take the floor on this if you want.
All right, yeah. So I believe it was the 16th pick in the draft. The Rangers selected Brendan Othman. I'm gonna be completely honest. Before this draft, I had no idea who this man was. I mean, obviously, when it starts to get towards like the middle round of the NHL draft, you really don't hear of big name players, but still, like this guy, I just haven't heard of and I don't know how long. I mean, in 2019-20. He had, in 55 games played with the Flint Firebirds of the OHL, he had 17 goals, 16 assists for 33 points. So, I mean, again, nothing great. I believe he was with a loan team in Switzerland. He put up 7 goals, 9 assists for 16 points in 34 games, and then two points in 4 playoff games with the team. So, I mean, I don't think a lot of Ranger fans are too happy with the pick. I mean, I'm definitely one of them who I'm just kind of on the border with it. I mean, I guess we're going to have to see, how well, I guess he does, see. But what's interesting is the next pick who the Blues took was this guy, what is his name? Zachary Bolduc. He plays for Rimouski. and he was actually teammates with Alexis Lafreniere. So I was just wondering, why not have this guy, draft him? Him and Lafreniere are going to have a good, connection. Lafreniere is going to, basically show him around, even though he's still young. He had 29 points in 27 games, last season with Rimouski. So, I mean, I really don't know. And the year before, 52 points in 55 games. And, I think that's playing with Lafreniere. So, I mean, I think if they definitely would have took him, I think a lot of Ranger fans would have been happier. I know I definitely would have been happier, but I mean, it's the way it goes. Can't do anything about it.
Yeah, I actually know who Bolduc is because his brother Sam is actually a prospect of the Islanders. He's a defenseman. So small world, right? Yeah. So I mean, I guess I'll get into my part of the conversation now. I mean, I knew who a few of these players were. I mean, I was personally happy with the, with the Tristan round, I believe it was. Islanders picking up a decent goalie. I mean, he's only 18. He had a 28-3 record in 33 games for the Saginaw Spirit in the OHL. 876 save percentage, so not too great, but I think at the same time, obviously, you have time to improve on that. I mean, I guess the big name that I really want to get into here, and I wasn't expecting them to pick up anybody too big because, I mean, they didn't have a first-round pick. The Islanders picking up Aatu Ratu, and that is how you say his name, by the way. I know it's spelled Rati. But yeah, at 52nd overall, I remember we were at Topgolf for that. I mean, they had the
Oh,
TV
that's
on.
right.
They were showing the draft coverage, and I just happened to look up, and I saw they picked Ratu, who was at one point he was considered to be the number one prospect in this draft. And I know a lot of people were asking, like, why'd he fall so hard? I think one of the big things that really affected him was the pandemic. I mean, I know obviously players get affected by the pandemic in different ways, and Ratu, I think, is more production based than anything else. But this kid is still a really, really good player. As of right now, he is looking fantastic. I know that I'm trying to think. They had a tournament. I don't know if it was the U18s for the. There was some sort of like world tournament. And Ratu went off. I mean, I think he had. I want to say it was like 14 points in 6 games or something like that. Like he was on a tear at one point. I feel like a moron because I can't actually think of the name of the tournament, and I feel like I'm just pulling random stats out of nowhere. But I mean, I saw a lot of it on Twitter. I just can't think of the name of the tournament. So, yeah, I mean, this kid, I'm excited for Ratu to kind of, develop more under the Islanders' kind of prospect regime, I guess. And the funny thing is, I mean, he was just drafted this year, but I think he's actually one of the better prospects that the Islanders have nowadays. So, it was definitely pretty cool to see them pick up a guy like that, especially at 52 in the second round. So that's pretty big. I guess now, since we got through that a lot quicker than I thought anyway, do you want to get into the draft as a whole? We'll talk about, I mean, we could, chime in on the conversation anyway, but if you had to pick some winners and losers from the draft, at least this year, who do you think would be in your winners and who do you think would be in your losers?
Winners and losers. Let me just look real quick. Because I'm going to be honest, this draft was kind of boring rather than, other drafts that, they've had, in past seasons. But, I mean, I think, I don't even know. It's tough.
I mean, this draft also didn't have a consensus number one overall pick, so it was kind of
That's
difficult
true.
to pay attention to a certain player.
Mm-hmm. I'd probably put Rangers as a loser just because, they weren't really, that involved, I feel like, with anything. They could have traded for some stuff, but, they didn't. I'd probably say the Coyotes. I mean, obviously they had their draft pick voided, but then they ended up, I believe, drafting someone 9th overall if I can find out who he was. Dylan Gunther. I like that pick though. You know, that is pretty nice, but yeah, I mean, I really can't say much. I mean, I really didn't know too much of this draft, but yeah, I'll say loser Rangers, and we'll go winner. We'll go Buffalo. Why not?
All right, I like that. I mean, I think you know, I like that Owen Power pick for Buffalo. I mean, you know, you really couldn't have gone wrong if you picked Owen Power if you didn't. For me though, I got to go with Seattle. I think in their first draft they really hit a home run, and you know, with that second overall pick, I like Matt Beniers. I mean, he's you know, I got to see him play a little bit with the you know, with the World Junior team. I mean, I paid attention to that quite a bit last year when they won the gold medal. So, you know, we all got a glimpse of the way that Matt Beniers plays, and a lot of things that I've heard anyway is that he's very professional at a very young age too. You know, he carries himself very well. I mean, he's a great kid to be around. He's got a lot of charisma. You know, and I think at the end of the day, I mean, a lot of people see this kid as someone who could be a potential captain at the NHL level. So that's obviously a pretty big, you know, pretty big deal for someone like that. I do have to give out another winner because, I mean, you know, I would probably have to say winner. I would pick Detroit. I think the Red Wings did a really good job in this first round. I like Simon Edvinsson at 6 for them. I think that he already adds to a pretty solid, not only a solid prospect pool that the Red Wings have, but he's also a pretty good defenseman. I mean, he's a pretty good two-way defender as well, and he can put up points, which is always nice to see. The thing for me, though, this was interesting, but I like this pick overall. They picked Sebastian Cossa at number 15, and he played in the WHL with the Edmonton Oil Kings. I was surprised to see that pick because when a lot of people were talking about goalies in this year's draft, it was really about Jesper Wallstedt, who wound up going later in the draft, later in the first round, I should say. And a lot of people kind of saw him as the top goaltender in this year's draft, but a lot of people also were pretty high on Cossa, and the Red Wings, you know, thought that he was good enough to go at, you know, at 15. I'm intrigued to see how this turns out because the last time that Yzerman traded up for a goalie that was kind of in like the middle of the first round,
Oh, wasn't it Vasilevsky?
and he wound up taking Andrei Vasilevsky. So I think Yzerman knows what he's doing here, and this is going to be an interesting pick for Detroit. Loser, I don't mean to talk forever, but loser, I'd probably have to say I'll go with Edmonton.
Edmonton? All right.
Yeah. I mean, because I mentioned Wallstedt earlier. They had a chance to take number 20, and they let Minnesota trade for that pick to take him. Edmonton right now. Like, they're looking to get rid of Mikko Koskinen. Mike Smith really isn't too great. Who else do you have? Like, Wallstedt could have been your goaltender of the future, and you let him slip away.
Mm-hmm.
So, whatever. I mean, I'm not Ken Holland. Thank God I'm not Ken Holland because he's made some pretty dumb decisions lately. But, you know, it is what it is, I guess. I'm not gonna get too into that. But, I mean, I guess that wraps up our free agency talk. I guess now the only thing we really got to get the draft talk, I should say. Now we can get into free agency. So,
My favorite.
yeah, I mean, I think that's everybody's favorite. But, I guess you could start us off here. And I'm going to be honest, I don't have a ton on free agency right now because everything has been so crazy to start out. But, who would you say is like do you have like a favorite signing that you've had so far? I mean, there's been a lot of big signings to kind of take in. So,
I mean, I do want to talk about the first big one, I feel like, or at least the free agent that was, most, hype for, who we didn't know where he was going to go. But Dougie Hamilton going to New Jersey, 7 years, $9 million annually. So, he's another defenseman who's getting paid this summer. We mentioned it before. But, I mean, I do like this signing for the Devils. I mean, they really haven't had, this, I feel like this big of a player, if you know what I mean, like name-wise at least in a while. But, I mean, I think he's going to be very solid for them. I mean, $9 million could be a little bit of an overpayment if I'm going to be honest. But, I mean, I still like it. I think the only thing now is that they just have to get rid of Subban. I mean, because I think he's making either the same or at least close to the same amount. So I think they could possibly trade Subban for, picks or prospects or whatever, and then, still have some, cap space, saved. Another signing that I like is Tyson Barrie, 3 years, 4.5, again, signing with the Edmonton Oilers. I think that was one of their rare W's, I feel like, this offseason, with Ken Holland being, the GM. But, I mean, I think 4.5 is pretty good, for a Tyson Barrie. I think he actually led defensemen in points for last season. He either led him in points or I believe it was assist. I'm not too sure, but I know he was really, really good for Edmonton. Another one I really like, actually, is Brock McGinn going to the Pittsburgh Penguins. 4 years, $2.75 million, which is a total of $11 million. I feel like that's a steal for Pittsburgh. I mean, I really like Brock McGinn. I've been following him, ever since he really started, in Carolina. He's not that big name of a player, but, he can do both sides of the ice for you. He can win faceoffs for you, or just, play very good defensive hockey. And, he can also score for you. He has good hands. He has good hand-eye coordination. So I think that was probably one of my, favorite signings and most underrated signings, in my opinion.
I like the Brock McGinn choice. I forgot about that, if I'm being completely real. But I'm trying to think of – I like the Dougie Hamilton signing for the Devils. I agree with you that they really haven't had not even that big of a name of a player. I mean, they had Taylor Hall a few years ago when he won the Hart Trophy. But, I mean, outside of that, I can't think of the last time they had, an elite puck-moving offensive defenseman. I know Subban was supposed to be that guy, and the nice thing about Subban is he's actually in the last year of his contract, so I think you can roll with that for a season.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I mean, if the Devils choose to bring him back, which I don't know if they necessarily will, but if they choose to bring him back, you definitely can't sign him for another $9 million. You just can't have that much money tied up on your defense. But I actually want to talk about another signing that New Jersey made, Thomas Tatar. I think that's a good signing for them. I mean, I know the Devils were really looking into adding another top six winger, and I think Tatar could be that guy. I mean, I like the way that he plays. 2 years, $9 million. That comes out to around 4.5 a year. So that's not too bad. I mean, for a guy like Thomas Tatar, who struggled a little bit near the end of his tenure in Montreal, I think he needed a fresh start, and New Jersey is definitely the place where he'd be able to do that. I'm trying to think of other signings here. I mean, I got the free agency board pulled up.
Honestly, one that I really like and that I feel like is pretty underrated, is Keith Yandle.
Yeah,
he got bought out by the Florida Panthers and signed a 1 year, $950K contract with Philly. And I'm gonna be honest, I think he's worth more than that. I mean, I don't remember how much he was getting paid in Florida, but I mean, I think he's definitely worth, more than $950K. He's a solid, offensive defenseman. Yeah, he might lack defensive, side. But I mean, when you pair him up on a power play, with those Philly forwards, you think of Claude Giroux, you think of Kevin Hayes, Travis Konecny, a new guy they just acquired, Cam Atkinson. I think, he would be a really good fit on that power play, and I feel like he would, definitely be quarterbacking that power play, and he would be really good at it.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I'm looking at other signings here. I mean, I think we got to talk about. We were talking about Ken Holland and the Edmonton Oilers before. Zach Hyman, 7-year deal with Edmonton. I don't know if you mentioned that or not, but if you didn't, then I'll be mentioning it now. $38.5 million over 7 seasons. That comes out to, I believe, $5.5 million.
Yep.
So 5.5. I mean, nah. I don't like it. I don't hate it. I mean,
I felt like he could have done 5 by 5.5. I'm just not a huge fan of the 7 years. I don't know why. I just feel like if you're gonna extend someone, you're either gonna extend them. I don't know. But I don't know. Just for some reason, I just don't see Zach Hyman lasting 7 years in Edmonton. I mean, I think he might be good for 4 or 5 seasons. I think if he signed with that, with that length, he would have been, better off, because I feel like towards the end of it, they're either going to A, regret it, or B, be like, hey, this guy is great, let's sign him to another long-term deal. And, he could possibly, just fall down after that. So, I mean, who knows? It's definitely a risk taking him at 7 years, but they'll see how it plans out for them in the future.
I guess the nice thing with a guy like Hyman, though, and I mean, I'm assuming that he would likely plan a line with either Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl, because you're not paying, you're not paying a guy like Zach Hyman that much to kind of sit in your bottom six and just waste him. You know what I mean? So, with Hyman, sorry about that. I got an ad playing in the background apparently, so I'm trying to fix all that. I got headphones in too, so it's like distracting. But something that I was kind of intrigued to see, and I don't know how you feel about this. Blake, I mean, it's okay. I
Who?
mean, Blake Coleman.
Oh, Coleman. I kind of like it.
It's okay.
What was it, 4.9, I believe?
Yeah, 6 years at 9.
Okay. I mean, I think he fits Calgary, though, very well. Just the way he plays, and I feel like the way that Calgary plays, I feel like he's just a very good fit for that team. And he does look good in that nice red.
That is true. Yeah, he he does look good in red. I mean, we've seen him for quite a few in the Devils jersey. So, I just want to talk about this quick, and I just want to, shed some light on this. This is the one signing. Well, I maybe have two signings, and they kind of come from the same geographical area. But I'll start with this one because I don't know why you would do this. Vancouver signing Tucker Poolman to a 4-year contract worth $2.5 million a year. Why?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, if it was a 1-year deal, maybe I wouldn't have a problem with it. It's still a bit of an overpayment, but I wouldn't have a problem with it. The fact that you're paying him for 4 years, like, this is a guy that could barely, hold his own roster spot in Winnipeg. Like, he's not that great defensively. I mean, I know we mentioned earlier that guys like Adam Pelech get paid based off of their defensive ability. Tucker Poolman isn't, that great of a defensive defenseman. And, I mean, he doesn't put up points either. So, and outside of that, I'm mentioned this, the whole trade to Arizona, getting rid of 3 of your bad contracts in was Louis Eriksson, Antoine Roussel, and I forget the third one. But you're getting rid of 3 of your bad contracts, and now you go out and sign another one.
Mm-hmm.
What's the point of doing that? I don't understand. The one that I want to get to, I mean, I already, I highlighted it a bit with Tucker Poolman. The other one that I want to talk about here is Alex Wennberg signing with the Seattle Kraken. This is the one move that the Kraken made all offseason so far that kind of had me on the fence. You're paying a guy $4.5 million. He shot a ridiculously high shooting percentage last year in Florida. I think it's around 20% or something like that. That's not again. That's obviously going to come down. But he also just got bought out of a contract. He literally just got bought out of a deal a couple of years ago with the Columbus Blue Jackets, in which he was making a similar amount.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really see the point of, giving him that much money. I mean, 3-year deal, it's okay. I mean, I'm not gonna, I mean, little center depth though, I think it was kind of needed, but meh. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. Probably one of a couple of contracts that I'm not a huge fan of is Nick Foligno, honestly. 2 years, $3.8 million, $7.6 million for Boston. I mean, to see what Toronto gave up for him and to see, how little production he got in Toronto and, seeing how much he got here, almost $4 million a year. I mean, I really don't know. I don't know how I like this signing by Boston. I mean, I just feel like Boston's getting older and older each year, with however many people they sign. And, Nick, I'm not saying Nick Foligno's old, but he's definitely older, in the NHL. But, I mean, I don't know. I'm just not a huge fan of that contract. I don't see him fitting well in Boston. I don't know why. Another deal that I don't like, Ken Holland being an idiot once again, trading Ethan Bear to Carolina for Warren Fogle.
And replacing Cody CC.
Yeah, Warren Fogle, 3 years, $2.7 million, $8.25 million for Edmonton. I like Warren Fogle, don't get me wrong, but I mean, trading him for Ethan Bear, who has the potential to be another great offensive defenseman, you know, it was kind of just stupid for me, honestly. Ken Holland has just made too many bad decisions. And you mentioned before, you know, Cody Ceci. I don't remember how much he got paid for, but I'm pretty sure he got paid like a decent amount. I'm trying to find it right now.
I know it was a 4-year deal. I just don't know how much he's making per. It's 4 years at $13 million. So I think that's. I don't know how much that is. I want to say it's like 3.25 or 3.5.
Oh, jeez, that's terrible.
13 divided by 4. 3.25.
That's terrible. Oh, all right. And then my word, another one that, again, just not a huge fan of, Ryan Suter going to the Stars. I mean, I think I like the fit, but usually when a guy gets bought out, you know, you don't sign him to multi-year deals. You know, we saw it with a lot of contracts. You know, Tony DeAngelo signing a 1-year contract. Who else got bought out this offseason? I'm trying to think. I don't know, but just usually you don't see that, right? You know, you don't see multi-year deals after a guy gets bought out. So for signing a guy who's old, you know, and making 4 years, 3.65 mil, and 14.6 million in total, I just don't like it. If I'm a Stars fan, I mean, you guys just signed Miro Heiskanen to, you know, again, another young defenseman who got paid this summer. I just think they could have used less money on him or used the same amount of money for a different defenseman. Like, you know, they could have signed Dennis Savard. You know, he was at 3.5 mil. You know, I think that's a better signing. You know, he signed with Montreal, 4 years, 3.5 mil, rather than, you know, Suter at 4 years, 3.6 mil. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't understand the whole, you know, situation with Ryan Suter. I mean, I wanted the Islanders to go after him. I thought he would have been a decent replacement on their blue line, but when I saw that he wanted a 4-year deal, I mean, considering he's 30, he's either 36 or 37.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, there are other options out there. There might not be many, but there are other options. One thing that I want to get into quickly, and, you know, this is a deal that I just don't understand, is Philadelphia signing Martin Jones.
That was another one, yes.
That's like, okay, so he struggled a lot last year. They struggled a lot on the defensive side of the puck, which, if I'm being honest, I mean, I really don't like the Flyers offseason in general, mainly because of the fact that, like, okay, you got Ryan Ellis, who's decent two-way defenseman, but not great, you know, defensively. You got Rasmus Ristolainen, who has been pretty bad, you know, a pretty bad Buffalo team. You got Keith Yandel, who's a pretty solid offensive defenseman, but can't defend in his own end for his life. And then you have Martin Jones, who had up a sub-900 save percentage for the last couple of seasons with a good San Jose Sharks team.
Mm-hmm.
This is a team that's made the playoffs consistently, and Martin Jones just can't save a beach ball. Like, I don't understand it. And, like, okay, I know that the Flyers want to get, like, a backup for Carter Hart, I get a goaltender to kind of challenge him for the net, but this was your solution? You sign a guy who hasn't had a save percentage above 900 since, like, 2017? Like, if you're telling me there aren't any other options out there, you're lying to yourself. It has to have been another option to sign. I'm looking up his stats really quickly here. I'm wondering if I can get, like, if I can get splits really quick. I'm working with the McDonald's Wi-Fi. I'm surprised it hasn't lagged out yet, but I guess I can't get anything for season by season. But yeah, this year for
who are you looking for?
Martin Jones. He went this year anyway. He went 15, 13, and 4. and he had a 3.28 goals against and an 896 save percentage. I understand that the Sharks were bad, but that's not good.
So yeah, last year he went that. The year before he went 17 and 21 and 2 with a 3.0 goals against average and a .896 save percentage. Again, the year before that he went 36 and 19, which wasn't that bad. But looking at his stats, 2.94 goals against average. Again, same save percentage, .896 save percentage. He had a looking at this now, he had a .896 save percentage 3 years in a row now. Three straight years. That is impressive, but like bad. Like
that's like it takes talent to suck that much.
Yeah, his last good year was 2017-18 when he went 30 and 22 with a 2.55 goals against average and a .915 save percentage and 4 shutouts. But I think arguably his best year is 2015-16 where he went 37-23, the 2.27 goals against average and a .9188. Oh my, I can't speak. Save percentage and 6 shutouts.
Okay. Wait, so if you're looking at that stat, right, obviously looking before the 896 save percentages, what was the last year that he had a save percentage above 900?
2017-18.
Do I even have to say anymore? Like, I know it's only a 1-year deal. I know it's $2 million, but like, here's the thing. I'm thinking that with Martin Jones, like in an 82-game season, Carter Hart's not in the position yet where he's going to play like 60-plus games. They're going to split pretty evenly, I would say. I mean, if they don't split like dead even, I would say Carter Hart gets like around 50 to 55 while Martin Jones gets the other half. But in the Metropolitan Division where you have a lot of good quality teams, I mean, I would think the Penguins, Caps, and Islanders all have playoff spots by the end of the season. At that point, you're fighting for that last wild card spot with the Rangers, who have been on the cusp of making it. You're fighting with the Hurricanes, who made the playoffs last year. You're fighting with a really improved Devils. I think to make the playoffs in this Metropolitan Division, Martin Jones is going to have to win at least 15 or 20 games. Can he do that? Maybe.
It's definitely possible. If he steps up his game, yeah.
But depending on how Carter Hart does, that might not even be enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's pretty good potential to not have that be enough. Maybe I'm just overreacting. I mean, maybe this could be like, like a change of scenery is all that some players need sometimes, and maybe that's what Martin Jones needs, but I just don't see it, we'll think. So, but I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty much done with my free agency topics. I mean, do you have anything you want to get to before we wrap it up for the night?
Just want to say Ryan Reeves is coming for you, Tom Wilson.
I forgot to mention that as well. So, man, Rangers just get going after every goon in the league.
No, honestly, I mean, I guess that's one positive thing Drury has done. He signed a lot of great players. Ryan Reeves, Barclay Goodrow, traded for Sammy Blais, which honestly I'm not a big fan of that trade. Jared Tenorti, I believe, signed with them, and Patrick Nemeth, I believe. So they're getting a lot of great players, but I think that's honestly what they needed. They had too many skilled players. They had a lot of skilled players in their fourth line, and that's just not how you're going to win hockey games, and that's not how you're going to make the playoffs. You're going to need some grit in their lineup. I mean, look at the Islanders. Their fourth line is the best fourth line in hockey. With Matt Martin, Cal Clutterbuck, and Casey Zizekas, they're all physical guys. But, they can bring their offensive upside, whenever they really want to. I feel like Casey more than anyone, though, out of the three. But, I mean, still, you need that in an NHL team. You can't just have skilled players. You need defensive, you need grit players on the team.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, I can say this now because, obviously, went out and solved the need that they had. But I'm going to be honest. I mean, over the last couple of seasons, the Rangers have been like, yeah, you can build a team off of skill and finesse, but it can only get you so far.
Mm-hmm.
Teams like that are generally pretty soft to play against. I mean, they're not very physical. They don't have much bite back when it comes to teams that, that can play physical. And I think the Rangers got pushed around. I mean, I don't even think this is based on what happened with Tom Wilson, but I mean, looking at the end of last season, they had a couple of big games against the Islanders and that they had to win basically to get into the playoffs, and they couldn't do it. So I'm not saying the Islanders, like went out and dominated them, but I mean, at the end of the day, though, the Islanders are a physical team, and the Rangers needed they needed someone to provide a spark, and it just didn't happen. So
Yeah, so I think that pretty much wraps it up. I mean, it was a pretty big free agency, but, I feel like most of the signings were, smaller deals. There weren't a whole lot of big deals. One thing we didn't mention, Alex Ovechkin did re-sign with the Washington Capitals. I believe it was 4 years, $10.5 million, I believe, or I know it was in that range or whatever. So that was another big signing. But, I mean, other than that, I think that's it.
yeah, I mean, just one thing to announce too, by the way. I know that some of you might be wondering where we've gone for the last couple of weeks. I mean, we've had some scheduling conflicts, but one thing that we've decided to do, and we didn't really mention this with the Kraken expansion draft, or maybe we did, I don't remember, to be honest. I don't remember what happened this morning. But one thing that we're going to try and going up to the regular season, and then when that kind of starts up again, that's when we'll be doing the multiple times a week episodes. We just figured that there wasn't a ton of content to get us through 3 hours a week, so we're going to try and cut it down a little bit, but we'll still be here broadcasting for you guys each and every week. So yeah, I mean, at this point, we should be back, I want to say next Friday. It'll change around sometimes. I mean, we can go either Monday, Wednesdays, or Fridays, so be on the lookout for us for that. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I mean, Andrew, you got anything you want to say to the crowd before we get off for the night?
Just stay safe, be well, and don't do drugs, kids.
It gets better and better each week it happens. Well, thanks again for tuning in, everyone. That's Andrew Mauricio. I'm Carter Bentavenga. We are the 2-on-0 Hockey Show, and have a good night.